In our troubled world, it is fitting that we should turn back the pages of history to ancient Athens, the mother of democracy, where we may still draw inspiration from what is left of the institutions that flourished when Athens was the world's beacon light of freedom. Perhaps the most famous citadel in the history of mankind is the Acropolis, overlooking the city of Athens, a picturesque and silent tribute to the glory that was Greece. It was built over 2,500 years ago as a fortress, and after centuries of exposure to the onslaughts of warring nations, what is left of it has been preserved for the edification of a modern world. The most attractive building on the Acropolis is the Parthenon, which has passed through the vicissitudes of time with undying glory. Nothing has been written or said about the ancient Greeks that could possibly excel the beauty and grandeur of their art, which even in ruins is a silent tribute to their culture. This is all that remains of the magnificent temple of the Olympian Zeus, high god of the ancient Greeks. Glorious Athens, where once lived Socrates, Aristotle, Plato, and countless other teachers of humanity, from whom freedom-loving people have inherited most of their noblest qualities. Although many of its public buildings have been erected in recent years, most of them are exact duplicates of the originals that were built in the golden age of Pericles, about 5 centuries before Christ. And this indeed is another grand tribute to the builders of ancient Greece, whose classic architecture is still regarded as the most beautiful yet designed by man. So much for Greek history. Now let's see something of modern Athens, where we witness a commendable effort on the part of the Greek people to reestablish their independence in the freedom-loving world that was born of their forefathers. Since World War II, Athens has taken on a modernistic trend, and we notice in the very tempo of its traffic a determination of movement that reveals a reviving interest in the pursuits of peace. In recent years, the Greeks have had their full measure of war and confusion, but their spirit, which reaches deep into the wells of freedom, appears to be stronger than ever. Although Athens was selected as the capital of Greece in 1834, principally for historical reasons, the metropolis has proved worthy of its position as an important political center and also the banking, commercial, and industrial hub of a wide and scattered area. The native markets are in full swing again, all under the private enterprise system. And although nothing very luxurious may be found here, there is a fair abundance of staple products, especially fruits and vegetables. But the merchants are not so rushed that they can't take time off for an occasional smoke from a hubble bubble or water pipe. Aside from fruits and vegetables, which seem to dominate this market, one may find something of a more fanciful nature, such as these little dolls dressed in the traditional costumes of ancient Greece. Dolls naturally remind us of children, and in all of Greece we found no children more worthy of attention than the orphans of Athens. Here in an abandoned hotel has been housed only a few of the unfortunate little ones who lost their parents during the recent civil war between the forces of freedom and the forces of slavery. Thanks to aid from other democratic countries, especially the United States, these unfortunate youngsters are now receiving a fair share of all that kind hearts and generous purses can provide. A few hours' journey from Athens in the Aegean Sea lies the historic little island of Rhodes. Through the centuries, Rhodes has been under many flags, but it has never lost the original imprint of Greek culture. The Italians took Rhodes from the Turks in 1912 and ruled the belated little island until the end of World War II, at which time Rhodes was restored to the Greeks. During the Italian regime under Benito Mussolini, much new construction was inaugurated, including these government buildings and this pier, the tower of which is said to mark the spot where the ancient Colossus of Rhodes once stood. At the time of our visit, Rhodes was a reasonably quiet and well-ordered little settlement. It appeared to be taking advantage of a breathing spell between wars. Traffic in general, by our standards, could hardly be called congested. Nevertheless, a very rigid system of traffic control was in full force. In the days when Athens was a maritime power, the harbor of Rhodes was an important rendezvous for the Athenian navy, and even today its boats play a prominent part in the commerce and trade of the Aegean Sea. Although very little remains in Rhodes that could be associated with the early Greek settlers, an occasional ruin rises from its precious soil in silent testimony to the glory that was Greece. In the outskirts of Rhodes, there is a thermal region that attracted the attention of Benito Mussolini. He undertook to have this former Greek watering spa cleaned up and redecorated for his personal enjoyment. He also made elaborate plans for his retirement in the peaceful atmosphere of Rhodes. And the quarters he chose for this final event were none other than the castle of the Knights of St. John. This renowned fortress dates back to the days of the Crusades. But Mussolini was a modern crusader who never enjoyed the hospitality of this ancient abode. He had it refurnished and fully equipped with modern plumbing, electric lights, and all the comforts of his day. But he never lived to fulfill his dream, for such is the destiny of dictators. Not far from the castle, humble but free natives now engage in folk dancing. This group is composed of farm families who graciously abandon their work in the fields and don these costumes to dance for our entertainment. In conclusion, we salute the people of Greece, if for no other reason than the fact that it was from their ancient philosophers and institutions that we inherited our ideas of freedom and democracy, as well as our appreciation for art and culture in their noblest proportion.